never read, but I have it sitting above my coffee maker, which is the future is but the present, a little further on. And I think that we're getting towards the future.
Okay, so how can we make nutrition more apparent in our healthcare and our school system? Well, I totally agree that we should offer, just like we have sex ed education, there should be food ed educations in schools, and students can, and parents should be on the board and be talking with the schools about this so that schools teach food education classes. Also, we have a lot of say with our pocketbooks about what kind of foods are on the grocery shelves and what kind of doctors that we see. So we should make it a priority to see doctors who use nutrition as a modality in their practice, and that helps the patient get healthier and helps nutrition become part of the healthcare system. Because I'm studying naturopathic medicine, in 33 states I am not licensed as a doctor, and that's crazy to me. And so we all can even help support bills that pass naturopathic doctors as real doctors, which we are. And this will further put nutrition in the healthcare system, which is very important. So there's many things that we can do, and it all starts with people believing that food is important and that food does contribute to health. So just by having events like this where all of you came to, it's just great to have this discussion at the forefront so that more ideas can be spread and things can start to change.
I think it goes without saying that political action and reshaping educational action are certainly very laudable goals that we can aspire to and that we can work toward. But I think actually that a larger movement that our society could make may seem on its face a little bit counterintuitive. Like we've been talking about a lot, people know a lot about food nutrition. Maybe they should know more, maybe they should know less. Because sometimes it gets so complicated for regular, everyday human beings to know what they should and shouldn't eat, that as a society we've seemed to develop almost like a neurotic pattern around food, right? I mean, we as a country spend more money on diet-oriented books, gym memberships, health clubs, and yet we are 70% of us, right? That's the number, 70% of us overweight or obese. It seems kind of ironic, right? That yet we have so much knowledge and so much effort, and we're not getting where we want to go, right? The societal change that we need to make, I think, actually is stepping back a bit and, in fact, simplifying our rules, right? Michael Pollan is probably a food writer that many of you are familiar with. He's written several books, and one of the ones that resonates, I think, for this particular topic is called Food Rules. And it's a really simple book. The first rule is eat food, right? Imagine that. The second one is not too much, right? Third one, foods that your great-grandmother would recognize as food, right? They're a little tongue-in-cheek, of course, but the rules, I think, resonate heavily with average everyday people who aren't interested in spending 4 hours in their local health food store reading every single label and going, well, this is nitrite-free, but there's celery seed, and I heard there's nitrites in celery seed, and is that going to get me? And what about the MSG? Right? Too many stressors. Make the rules simple, right? Eat food, mostly plants, whole grains, lots of colors. Remember your 7-year-old self, right? And keep your mind in a broader, larger perspective. It makes it easy.
So I believe this whole issue around nutrition is first and foremost a public health issue. In order to better integrate nutrition into our healthcare system, as a society, we must start working at the community level. This means building better public health programs right where we live and work. A key aspect of public health includes promoting whole body wellness through community efforts. Simple as that. And although we are often described as the land of plenty, there are still many people that face food insecurity on a daily basis. So as a society, we must work to change the belief that some are worthy of good health and nutrition and some are not. It can be seen time and time again that providing individuals with a path to better health empowers them to make better positive life changes. And often that empowers them to help others to make life changes as well. So as we expand on public health measures to increase access to nutrient-rich foods, the topic of nutrition can be better integrated into our healthcare and educational systems. But one-time educational programs aren't enough. Sorry. As care providers, we must be committed to building consistent and sustainable multidisciplinary approaches to our patients' nutritional needs. As a society, we'll need to mobilize these public health measures and improve overall policy development for better inclusion of nutrition into both of these systems. Thank you.
Any more commentary about what our society can do? Moving on. Okay. Drum roll. Last question. We're here. Okay, so we talked about what our society can do. What can you, all of you, what can you do so that nutrition becomes a greater part of our healthcare system and our educational system? So talk about your involvement. Thank you. We'll be starting with Colin.
Well, what we can do is work together and have more events like this. I feel incredibly honored to be a part of this, by the way. OHSU just built the CLSB, the Collaborative Learning Science Building. And it's asinine to me that I have still had, for all the collaborative discussions there are about interdisciplinary medicine, we don't have conversations with the NCNM just down the street. And you guys have such a wonderful approach to health that is very different in some ways, but I think we can all agree having conversations like this and working together is definitely a step in the right direction. We have a lot to offer each other as far as our ability to help our entire community as a whole. And then as far as me personally, I plan on implementing in wherever I end up working in the practice, working with Anna and figuring out how to have very good discussions with our patients in the chair about what they're eating, because we're in a really good position. You know, everyone knows that sugars are bad for your teeth. That's a perfect vehicle to talk about systemic health and how your diet can affect that.
So I absolutely love talking about nutrition. That's why I came to naturopathic school in the first place, is because I fell in love with nutrition and I just want to teach people how to eat, because you feel so amazing when you put the right foods in your body. And it's really hard to go back to a diet you used to be eating when you know how amazing you feel when you eat a nutrient-dense diet. So I personally, just like I said, for what our society can do, I support local farmers and I support businesses that I agree with their farming practices. It all comes back to where you spend your money. I also support organizations that do a good job of educating the public on food topics. I really love the Weston A. Price Foundation, and I'm a member of them, and I support them and keep up to date because they do a great job of educating people on a traditional foods diet, and you know, we need to support other companies like that. I also love to educate my friends and family about foods. I personally, from making this video for Bob's Red Mill, have discovered a love of video making. And so I plan on making many videos to come all about the topic of food and nutrition to share and to spread the word. And I also, when I become a naturopathic doctor, I can't wait to start passing legislation and being right in the midst of passing laws that make me a doctor in all 50 states. And I'm very excited to do that. Thank you.
So Chinese medicine as a modality of looking at health is extremely concerned with big pictures, right? We want to look at large arcs, we want to see whole stories. And our classic texts echo words that we've all heard before, the famous Hippocrates quote about let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Sun Tzu Yao basically echoes the same exact idea about 800 years later. And when he's talking about how we deal with patients, we talk about looking, hearing, smelling, and there's a practical component to that, right? Smelling is sometimes a little an intense way to diagnose patients. But listening isn't so much, right? And for me as a practitioner, when I'm in the patient room, in the clinic room, that's where my focus is, right? On the patient, here, now. Listening to the story, listening to that person's relationship to what they eat, what they have eaten, what they want to eat, and trying to work with them to put them on a path that's going to be practical, successful, and ultimately going to lead to all of the things that the other